It's the 2nd of July, and this is your Solana daily debrief. So having a look, last 24 hours, Bonk is up 10%, which is great. 7 days, 16. But in terms of the big ones, not really anything changing here. Solana's still around 150 at 148, which is good to see. Now, onto some Bitcoin news and also some general kind of macro news. So Ansem has this comparison. Total US stock market, 50 trillion. Total crypto, 2 trillion. In my opinion, this is likely to go from this amount to around 9 to 10 trillion this cycle. And I agree with this. The wealth transfer to those early to crypto from boomers and institutional capital will be the most significant of the 2020s. So different generations had different things. As an example, the baby boomers, which are around 60 years old or older, and most of them are coming up for retirement, they did very well with pricing in real estate. You know, they could have bought a house for $100,000, which is now worth 1.1 million or something like that, if it was in the right place. And a lot of right places existed. Now, Jiho's down here compares crypto doesn't compete with equities for flows, competes with sovereign debt and fiat. I don't agree with this at all. I know, people want that to be the case, but until you've got a military that's powered by crypto, then that's just not a reality. Debt and fiat are controlled by governments. So rate cuts are coming. This is from Rick, who's part of BlackRock, knows his stuff. And essentially what we're seeing is consumption is dropping. So there's less growth, or there's actually no growth currently in the US, which means they always want to spur growth. They want to have a little bit of inflation. And generally how that happens is they actually cut rates. When you cut rates, people start to spend more, and more money tends to flow into assets that are riskier, like Bitcoin, ETH, and so on. Next big news here, Sony has bought Whalefin app. This is a crypto exchange it's in Japan. It went bankrupt around the FTX bankruptcy, but they've just gone and bought this exchange, which is pretty crazy. The other crazy thing is the Japanese yen is at its lowest level since 1986 against the US dollar, losing 53% of its value from the 2011 peak. I don't have a great deal of information on Japan, but basically they use a lot of money printing in the society, and this society is heavily aging, and the birth rate's very low. So it's not expanding as a society. I'm unsure, how that's going to be fixed or whatever. That's a macro kind of problem, and I don't really care because this is crypto related. But essentially, from there, what we're seeing is all-time lows with Japanese yen. Sony, like one of the biggest companies in Japan, if not the world, launching a Bitcoin exchange, and Metaplanet buying 200 million yen more in Bitcoin. So in Japan, I think what we're going to see is a major adoption of crypto this cycle. It kind of started to happen last cycle, it just didn't quite happen. In a general kind of view of all this bullishness, Sony exchange, Michael Dell tweeting about Bitcoin, public companies buying Bitcoin, Bitcoin ETF, Trump being more supportive of crypto, state pension buying Bitcoin, and the big hedge funds and whatnot buying Bitcoin, and so on and so on and so on. The key point is in 2017, basically it was just PvP. It was just the equivalent of maybe meme coins. They were just like get rich schemes, or there were ICOs, initial coin offerings, that were just, most of them didn't go anywhere whatsoever. But if you degened into those things back then, and I didn't because I didn't have the knowledge I have now, people did really, really well by just degening. Sometimes you made it, sometimes you didn't. It was gross. But one thing for sure is in 2017, we wished we would have had anything like this. The reality is we wanted all this stuff to happen, and now it's happening and nobody even cares. But this is definitely the time to care. Same Pump says hidden bullish divergences in weekly are extremely rare. To find one in BTC chart, you have to go back to 21. It's a big trend reversal pattern, and last time it happened, we rallied 20%. I'm not saying you should go and put on a long, but if you're a trader, keep an eye on this and see if this is something which lines up with your thesis. Ansem says 74K next for Bitcoin. That would be nice. And negative funding on BTC and Sol. This is on Bybit. It's no longer negative from what I saw, but basically in bull markets, you generally only have positive funding. So when it goes negative, it's a generally bullish thing. So we're going higher. July will be green for BTC and green for Sol. Now, some actual Bitcoin transfers. The German government has almost $3 billion worth of Bitcoin, and they've been transferring nothing crazy, like definitely can absorb this sell pressure, but they've been transferring some to Coinbase and Kraken and Bitstamp in order to cash it out. Now, Circle News. So as a first global stablecoin issuer that has actual compliance, because Tether doesn't, we're committed to building a more inclusive, compliant future for internet finance, and specifically USDC and EURC. I would love EURC to be used in exchanges, so we can just kind of off-ramp in Europe with Euro and not have to worry about exchange rates and stuff like that. And one of the major things, because these are now legal in Europe, this is massive news, because from here, you can start to have companies that may want to hold some of their treasury on the blockchain and just, beat inflation, as an example. That will take a little bit of time, though, because obviously in the last cycle, there were so many rugs from Celsius, BlockFi, FTX, and numerous other ones that promised kind of returns on your USDC and whatnot. But in general, this is super, super bullish. I do feel one of the easiest ways to onboard someone is just tell them, if Celsius was still around, is basically take your euros and get a good return on it. There's your first step. It's now digital. You can transfer in and out on the Solana blockchain. You can, of course, do this with Kamino. It just requires a few extra steps. But I imagine there'll be integrations in Solflare and other wallets in the future where you can just kind of one-click deposit and it makes it easier. Or like Lulo, as an example, make it a lot easier. So they're legal, and this is the first time in history of crypto a blockchain token has been declared legal in a sovereign jurisdiction. Now, the case for the Sol ETH relative value trade is only strengthening, and we've got a few things here. So I don't know how relevant this metric is, price to sales, so we won't really worry about this one. But in terms of block space profitability, really profitable back here. Back here, though, like you're just paying crazy gas fees. It was disgusting. It didn't work at all. I paid like $500 for transactions and stuff. Here, February, not so good. But then when we see the reverse for Solana, a little bit of volume back here, and then just bam, with MEV and tips and voting transactions, absolutely insane. But it's still affordable. DEX volume as well. DEX volume has been falling, very high back here. This is bear market, of course. Comes on down. Now, I'm imagining this is just comparing Ethereum mainnet, not all the layer 2s. So just keep that in mind. And then we're pumping up with Solana, which is good to see. Now, as Anson points out, the hard point was taking this trade before the objective data showed you the mispricing. The second leg is the easy part. But still, people right now with Sol at 150 will completely fade it. I definitely think if you take what the current cost of Ethereum is, basically $3,500, and Sol, if you went, let's say you had 10 ETH, if you wanted to, not financial advice, swap half of that into Sol, you will outperform the market. Of course, Solana will outperform Ethereum for sure, in my opinion. Now, this point here is very, very valid. So the perception in the market seems to be that Solana is stealing users from Ethereum, but the data is showing different stuff. This is from Token Terminal, and basically, don't fade. I definitely would say fade Ethereum unless you've got like a lot of money for gas. But for layer 2s, if there's something that interests you on a layer 2, go and play on them. If there's some airdrop potential or decent yields, go for it. Because active addresses on Ethereum and layer 2s have grown 577%, whereas Solana active addresses have grown 138%. Having said that, like the vast majority of all my attention will be on Solana. It just works. Ansem has another post. He's just full of posts today. But there's so much discussion about Solana's inflation and very little on how it's 10x its fees, MEV revenue, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to actually use the blockchain. If you're using Optimism, Arbitrum, or Base, it's affordable, but it's still like, 30 cents per transaction. Whereas, you're still able to pay less than a cent on Solana normally. Here is a daily line that you may want to bookmark, take a screenshot of. This is from WebTrend Analytics, and they made this thesis here that this is basically support, or not really support, but rather a guiding line. And this is now it's a dip down here and then basically bounce and straight up. So if we kind of extrapolate this out, this could be a good guide for us to go with. Really though, just bonk will be absolutely massive at the end of the cycle. I'm sure of it. So dollar cost average into bonk and go and stake it. Next bit of news from Jupiter. So in terms of what's happening with Jupe, we're going to have Sanctum will be launching the cloud token. More on that in a second. And then there's going to be a major vote regarding the Jupe token supply. I'll keep you up to date with that. There's also going to be the active staking rewards claim. So this will have a lot of sell pressure with Zeus, well, you know them all, Zeus, Sharky, will be potentially Sanctum, and a few others like Uprock. So just keep an eye on those tokens. And dBridge will also be launching their token after Cloud. So that's everything that's going on. It's going to be very, very busy. So just don't fade anything when it comes to Jupiter, and just stay up to date with this channel and Jupiter's channel. PYUSD, so this is PayPal's USD. This is now live on Jupiter. And there's also an onboarding campaign with Kamino. So you can read through here, but let's just go through it quickly. Go to borrow and lend, and then down here, PYUSD, very little in terms of demand, like lending APY is 0.06. However, the weekly reward is currently this. This will probably dip down quite a bit. You can go and game this if you want to. So what you could do is you could go and supply, you could do it a couple of ways. One, you could go and supply, say, some Sol. Go and put some Sol in here, not like dupe Sol, as much as I love these things because they only have a 45% LTV, but just straight up Sol. Go put in some Sol and then take out a loan of PYUSD, borrow it and go put it into another wallet and supply it, and then you're just making 17%. And then from there, you can withdraw that, buy more Sol if you want to. Or another way you could game this is you could put in like $10,000 worth of USDC, put in, you're earning 14%, go and borrow zero at this rate. We'll have to watch this rate, of course, it will increase. Go and borrow that, go and do a swap, which we know shouldn't cost you very much. Just check your slippage. You don't want to be paying like 1% or something. And then go and put that back in, and you're basically compounding your games. You're supplying, borrowing, supplying, and you'll just be earning a decent yield. I'm not going to necessarily do any of those things just because my crypto is used in other sources, but this is a decent yield at present. As Topo says, he's happy to use this. It is, I think, you're not allowed to use it. No, you are allowed to use it in the US. I don't know, I'm a little bit confused with this. Like, who's allowed to use it, who's not allowed to use it? I mean, Kamino is not allowed to be used in the US. You can get around, this is not legal advice, you can get around it with a VPN, not legal advice. But the APY was this, and now it's just dipped down. Now, next bit of advice, go ahead and actually, please, 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 get amongst Moonwalk Fitness. In a bull market, you're going to put on some weight, listen to your favorite podcast, listen to this, whatever. Go for a walk, get your steps up, and you're going to be earning a little bit of money. At present, there's like 350 people that have actually signed up. Maybe 300 will actually complete it, which means there's like $20. You're basically being paid to go and get fitness amongst you. Go and get $20, you go and pay $10, you get your $10 back, and you get this. But more than that, in my opinion, there's so many good things that are in crypto. However, when it comes to health, we're not there yet. Like, there's nothing really incentivizing good health. So start with this, and remember, when you're setting up the app, ensure that you've actually turned on location data tracking so that you can actually have a more accurate way of counting your steps. And Metasol has gone and put this out here. So this is me, apparently. Get amongst it. Another bit of news, if you're going to the Hacker House in London, and only if you're going to the Hacker House in London, then this is for you. 69 million bonk is worth a little bit of money. And basically, these are the official rules. They'll be linked below. This is not going to relate to too many people, and maybe not too many people that actually watch my content. But get amongst this, because whoever wins this wins $1,800 worth of bonk, which is well worth it. I would say this $1,800 worth of bonk would highly likely be worth 10 grand at the peak. Next bit of news from Jussie here. If you want to get 25% extra for your grass points in 5 minutes, follow this. You need to get a community node. It's just a reminder. I've got one of these running on a computer that I don't have a lot of hot wallets on, and I'm fine with that. The reason why I don't put it on a computer with lots of hot wallets on is because I don't put anything that I don't completely know. All I have on that is basically hot wallets and video editing software, and that's it. Just very, very strict with my security, and I encourage others to be the same. A little bit of news now with Sanctum. So this is from Jay. If you did not set up your profile, are you eligible for cloud? You're still eligible for cloud. You are still eligible for cloud. You, of course, had to be part of Wonderland, though. My house was burning down, blah, 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 blah. It's on holiday. Can I set up a profile now? No, you cannot. But if you believe you've made a significant contribution to the Sanctum community, reach out and open a profiles ticket. However, only reach out if you've made significant contribution, or else opening up a ticket is really going to annoy them. I filled in a form for an extension before the deadline. What now? We'll reach out. This part here is important. If you held INF or an LST in your wallet, but you did not sign up for Wonderland, you will not be getting any cloud. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I didn't realize it'd be like that. They ran Wonderland for 4 weeks. People complained it was too long. So sadly, no amount of time would have saved you here. Nothing we can do here. The best thing here is just wallet management. I've probably got INF in random wallets that I never would have created a profile for, or even like signed up to Wonderland for. That's on me. But what you want to do is just have a limited number of wallets that you can keep track of. And if you did not set your designated claim wallet, then the first wallet you use to create your profile would be your claim wallet. And that's the Sanctum news. Final thing here is Holdium, 120,000 registered users. So definitely don't skip this. There's a lot of demand for this. I think this will do quite well in terms of their growth. What are they looking at? 15,000 followers. So that's crazy. 120,000 registered users, but they can't even actually go and follow the Twitter. That's kind of strange. In terms of Ledger users, we should have some news coming soon about how to register without connecting your wallet. Now your actionables. If you're holding stables, check out Kamino's PYUSD lending APY. You can also go and borrow. Remember, you can borrow at a really low rate at present. Swap it for USDC or USDT as long as the fees aren't too high and as long as that rate doesn't go up too much. That would be a smart move as well. Moonwalk Fitness, July 2nd to 7th, 10K step challenge. Get amongst this. My referral is below. Definitely get amongst that. It's $10 to actually enter, and if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to lose either $10 or a portion of your $10. Check out Kamino's MSOL Sol Marinated Incentivized LP if you're keen. Same with the other Jito Sol and Sol JTO Incentivized LP, and DCA Sol on dupe.ag and stake with validator.com. Now, one of the reasons why I give you all the news from Ansem and all these other traders that are pretty successful, or other people that have been around for a decent amount of time, is when Sol is $500, people are going to be far more inclined to sell, of course, and to start to take profits. And at $500, you're going to say things like, I wish I bought more at this. I wish I bought more. We cannot buy any more at $30. We cannot buy any more at $20. And most of us didn't buy any at $8. That's all in the past. We cannot repeat that. What we now have as an opportunity is to dollar cost average around maybe 130 to 150. And for how long will that sit there? We just don't know. So go and set up one of these. It's not difficult. And then just go and stake it with validator.com. You can always unstake it. Takes one epoch if you want to access that. Now the airdrop actionables. Still dBridge. Time sensitive. I want to make sure that people are actually doing this because dBridge is the best bridge. I don't know what the rewards will be, but worth it. With Cube Exchange, use my referral. And you need to check in daily. And you can do these daily active tasks. I will go through and make a decent tutorial on it, but it's pretty simple. All you need to do is, once you've done your KYC, is just go and just check in daily. Just once a day, you click something, you get more points. Check out Justy's thread on Ton. It's tap to earn mini apps. I don't want to cover it too much, but I will link it below. And register all your meme coin wallets with Holdium. And of course, if you're familiar with Meteor, either DLMM or dynamic pools, go and generate some fees. Now that's all for today. If you liked it, like it. If you loved it, subscribe. Catch you in the next one.